Hi everybody, this is Em from DIYM. Today I like to do, as you may have seen on my channel before, DIYs that are specifically St. Patrick's Day ones. So I'll link some of the videos that I've done about that down below. I've done at least 3 at this point in time. This is basically my 4th. So what I'm going to make is St. Patrick's Day, you know those pot of gold things? I'm going to basically make a little basket. What you could do potentially is you could also, around Halloween time, you could see what small-ish cauldrons there are. Hopefully none that have this kind of flame detail going on, but if there's little tiny, maybe even smaller than this, if you can, cauldrons that you can find without these kind of details, I think that that's a cool thing you can get. I got this at Dollarama for $3 or something last Halloween, and I'm going to do something with it this year for Halloween, so stay tuned for those Halloween videos coming up eventually in the year, but I know this is a little early for that. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you some ideas of what you could potentially do. You could just buy stuff like this and store it. If you want to say maybe this is the only thing you can actually find, if you want to, you can always get a little bit of, there's paper mache mulch you can get. I think you just add water to it. It's going to be a little bit more textured, but you can basically add that. It just sort of glues itself, I think, onto things. I'm not sure how well it's going to glue onto some plastic because I haven't really tried that before, so you may want to have a little bit more adhesive on there as well. But yeah, you can try something like that, doing some sort of paper mache situation just to make it a little bit more textured looking, or you can get, I think there's ways of painting this stuff too. I'm going to basically try to avoid paint if I can. But there's that as an option. Also, basically, I'm trying to make this as accessible as possible for people, and I'm going to try to not use paints because I'm not sure. It depends on the acrylic paints, because normally acrylic paints is the thing that sticks to something like plastic, right? But something like this, I'm just going to use Podge and do like a decoupage situation and just tear things of black tissue paper. So this is 20 sheets. I've got 8 of these because I've got quite a few of these things that I want to do. I'm not sure how many I'm going to really need, but I'm going to show you in this video. I'm just going to shred this up, glue things down, and make sure that this is covered with black paper. So these guys here I got at Dollarama, so you can check your dollar stores to find giant eggs like this, but this is like $2.50. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to probably use this for something else in the future, but I'm just going to use the bottom parts. So I don't really care if these are all scratched up and stuff because I'm going to go over it with paper. As pretty as these colors are, I'm just not going to use it for this specific purpose, right? So yeah, so basically just going to take off the tops of these. Oh, and I'm going to say this too. Maybe you're watching this in a time of year where these eggs are not around because maybe it's past Easter. Easter came early this year. It's coming around beginning of April, but I did find stuff like this, which I think is really, really good. But if you want to, this is going to be a little bit more work and a little bit more messy probably. You can buy balloons and you can paper mache half of those. And then once you're done covering things, you can deflate it, snip the excess raw top off. If you're doing it with tissue paper, try to build it up quite a bit, maybe, so it's kind of thick and sturdy-ish. But yeah, try to also trim the top off if you can. If it's a little thin-ish, you can punch holes in the top and just sort of string some sort of handles through if you wanted to. You don't necessarily have to do that, though. These handles here is kind of what I would go for. You can always add something like that to the side if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. But I basically just want to cover these. That's basically what I want to do. So that's another idea for you guys, because I like to throw out alternative ideas for you in case you can't find specific things. So I'm just going to take this off, these prices, and then I'm going to start Mod Podging. I'm also going to change out my mat because this mat, I want to keep it kind of pretty, somewhat pretty. I'm going to change out to my other green mat that I have that's been painted on and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll do that in the next scene. Okay, so I got the green ugly mat out. I don't know which one to work on. I might just work on the green one first, just because it's more St. Patrick's Day-esque, I guess. And then I'm just going to take some of this tissue paper, like I said earlier, and I'm going with gloss Mod Podge because that's what I have. You can do matte Mod Podge. It just really depends on the look you're going for. It doesn't really matter to me, so I'm just going to go with the gloss. And then I just have sponge brushes, but you can use regular brushes. I have a few different sizes. So, but yeah, this is a pretty inexpensive project. You can also use, if you don't want to use the Mod Podge thing, watered down glue. That's another decoupage look you can do, because that's basically what we're doing is decoupage. Right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down to before you hit the rim, and then I'll let this dry, and then I'll flip it over and I'll do the inside as well. So that's all I'm going to do for that. I'm just going to show you guys one and then the process of that. But yeah, I find Easter is actually a really good time. I love this kind of holographic look. I'm kind of sad that I have to do this, but Easter is like a really, really good time to find these giant eggs, especially if Easter is a little bit closer to St. Patrick's Day. I find that this is pretty accessible at the dollar store. But yeah, as I said, if you can't find something like this and you want to do it another time of year or something, it's just not accessible, then you can try to use balloons. But anyways, I wanted to do this because I thought that this was going to be a little easier. I'm hoping I can get this lid off. I'm going to stop the camera for a second just to get this lid off of this Mod Podge. It's a little stuck on right now. Okay, so my amazing husband got this open for me, so I need to clear around this before I close it up next time. It can really get glued on. If for some reason you don't do that often and you find paints and Mod Podges and big things like that glued down and you don't have somebody to help you with that, if you buy stuff like this is a jar opener, so it's great for when pickles and stuff like that are hard to open. If you buy stuff like this, sometimes you can get better grips on the jar tops, sort of goes over top of things, and then you can just twist things off a little bit easier. Just in case this can make things a little bit easier. Another thing you can do prior that your future self will thank you for is try to clean this off as much as you can so it doesn't glue down the lid. So I need to be mindful of doing stuff like that too. I'm not just saying it to lecture you guys because I don't want to be that person, but anyways, so I'm going to do some Mod Podging. This is cool because it has 20 sheets in here, so there's a lot of this tissue. I probably didn't need to buy as much tissue as I did, but you can use black for a nice black and white look for gift wrapping, or you could do stuff like this. This is also good for Halloween crafting and stuff like that. I'm just gonna work with one sheet for now. Rip off a few sheets, just some small sheets. You don't have to be precious with this. This is a normal Mod Podge technique. Or you could, as I said, you can always do some paper macheing, just water down white or clear glue, and just do a similar technique. You can use newspaper and stuff too, but I don't know. Again, I'm trying to avoid paint just because acrylic paint can be non-toxic, but it can also be toxic. It depends on what paint you're using and what the pigments are, so I always try to avoid that, especially if I'm giving candy and stuff in here, and I'll show you guys in the end what I'm putting in here, but here, I'm gonna use this lid just to put my brush in if I need to. If you're putting candy and stuff in here, you probably want something like a non-toxic medium. So Mod Podge, the nice thing about that, it's like a water-based non-toxic glue, or at least that's what they say, if I'm not mistaken. I guess it also depends on the dyes on here. I'm not sure exactly if this is toxic or not, but I'm trying to make this as non-toxic as possible. So Mod Podge is a glue and a sealer in one, right? So you try to, if you can, I like to glue things down first. Doesn't matter if there's a little texture. I think that's just going to add to a cool rustic look to it. But yeah, you glue things down first and then go over top and seal things, right? So it's a glue and a sealer in one, as I said. And you just try to layer. That's all you have to do. If you guys have never seen how to decoupage, this is basically how to do it. You just put more glue down. It's actually really fun and therapeutic if you have enough time to be doing it. Sorry, there's some holes and stuff in here, which is kind of annoying. I'm trying to do thin coats, but sometimes it's not easy. I'm going to probably put this guy away because I think it's too big of a sponge brush, but the nice thing about the sponge brush is you get less brush strokes, I find, in your stuff, but I don't think it really matters too much with this if you have brush strokes or not, because you're probably going to get some texture while you're Mod Podging. But try to put thin layers if you can of the glue down. That's going to be a little bit easier. I don't like when things pool all that much. And you can put a few layers on too if you wanted to. We'll see how things turn out when this dries. This is probably going to be a couple days project because you're going to have to let things dry between coats. I'm just going to do one for the camera, and then the other ones I'm going to probably just do off camera. I have 4. I'm going a little bit heavy-handed with this, but try to get the puddles out of here as much as you can. Each piece you put down, you have to glue over top of it. Try not to glue your hands to it. Again, try to just do thin coats if you can. And as I said, you can do gloss Mod Podge, you can do matte Mod Podge. I think there's a satin Mod Podge now too out there. You can do sparkly if you want a touch of magic. That might be kind of cool. You can even get sparkly tissue papers and stuff. This goes pretty quickly, but I have so many to do that it may not seem that quick for me. We'll see. But this is a nice solid foundation for making a pot-like structure. If you want to, you can also put wooden beads or something like that on here for the bottom to lift it up a little bit more. You do you. I'm just gonna leave it like this. But this looks really cool, even if you're trying to gift stuff for Halloween, say, and you just want to gift a little thing. Maybe buy some of these giant eggs around Easter, and then you can make some cool cauldrons too for people. I don't know. I think that this is kind of a cool thing for a few different DIYs, so I'm just going to speed this up pretty much now. So I'm just avoiding the rim right now, but I am going to go over top of that later. And while this is drying, I just want to avoid the rim for the time being. But you can get fairly close to the rim if you'd like. I'm going to lay it down to dry like that, right? So that's why I'm just going to avoid it for now. But this is also, I guess, another way that you could decorate an Easter egg, like a Mod Podge way. So that's another Easter thing you could technically do. I'm just gonna do another strip of paper right here. Avoid this part of the rim, but I'm just gonna do a longer strip like that. Okay, so it looks kind of grayish right now. It's gonna dry clear, and then it's probably just gonna more likely look black but shiny. As I said, I used the gloss version, but I'm just gonna let that dry for now. I'm gonna do these other eggs that I've got, and then I'm going to, once this is dry, it might take a day or two, we'll see. So I would say if you're going to do this project, maybe set some time aside for this. It might be a couple days for it to dry, and then you can flip it around, so hopefully it won't be sticky on the other side. Do the tacky test and just touch it, that sort of thing. If it looks kind of dry, if it looks like there's lots of glue still on there, I'm not going to do the tacky test, right? So, because it's going to be pretty obvious that it's not dry yet. So I'm just going to continue on. You'll see me next when this is dry, and I'll flip it over and do that. Okay, so I just Mod Podged all this. I might do some patchwork in here, but I'm just gonna let them dry. A lot of these guys aren't fully dry quite yet, but it's actually not too bad, and it actually doesn't feel all that tacky, which is great. I've just been doing this for maybe an hour or two. I can't even remember how long when I started this, but I just wanted to sort of state, so I bought, because I wasn't sure how much I was gonna need, but I bought 8 packages of this tissue, which is totally overkill because it's 20 sheets in here. Literally 4 of these guys, and they're fairly large. I still have, this is the first tissue. I still have this much of the first tissue. Isn't that crazy? Anyways, I thought that was really, really funny. So you really don't need a ton of black tissue for this project. I mean, if you want to, you can buy a couple of these just in case, if there's a 20 pack or something. But honestly, I don't think you really need that much. But another thing I wanted to state, as you can see here, I Mod Podged the inside of these bowls. I'm going to show you me flipping these guys over and Mod Podging the insides later. But I just wanted to state that you could start with Mod Podging the inside and then just leave a little bit of the bottom so that I can sit on that, whoops, instead, and then flip that over and just do the rest, which isn't that much left. I feel like if you do it inside first, you can get a lot more covered than doing it this way with the rim showing, right? You do you. It's really up to you and what you feel is the easier thing to do, but I feel like you can get a lot more covered if you do it this way. You can get a lot more covered, and then you can just do the rest like we did here. There's also a weird lip at the top, but you can always build up on that if you want to with more tissue. But yeah, so I'm just gonna let these guys dry because obviously I just did them not long ago and there's still quite a bit of drying to do. I'm just gonna let things dry maybe overnight just to make sure. Anyways, I'll let this dry. When I come back, I'm gonna try to flip things around and do the other sides. All right. Okay, so they're all dry. This is the next day. So I don't know if you can see this on camera. I think you can a little bit here. You might be able to see it with this one too. There's like a little bit of purple showing through for this guy here, and then there's a little bit of green also showing through right here on this one. So if you have that kind of issue, you might want to first, because things are so see-through still, I guess, do the outside, right? And then see how it looks after that. It's probably going to be covered up. If for some reason you can still see it, you can just patch it the way we've been doing. Okay, so you could definitely do that. If you want, you can have a bit of a rim. I don't think I'm going to do that in this video because I think it's a lot of building things up, but you can totally do that if you want to. But yeah, you basically would just build up bits of ripped paper, maybe do long strips a few times around, and just build up a rim. Like this guy has, as you can see, a bit of a rim around the edge, right? So if you wanted to do that, you could build it up that way. You can also, if you wanted to, you could do a similar method and build up this kind of thing on the sides, or take some cording and add that to the side and just glue that on. So I'm just going to continue flipping this over, and I'll just continue on what I was doing for the inside as well. There's a little bit of a glue bubble here, but whatever. Here, let's take that off. And try to do thin coats again, because I had an example on one of these guys. You can sort of see some glue building up along the sides here, or this white stuff around the sides. I think I put too much glue on there. So sometimes if you put a lot of glue on and puddle it, it can show up. I don't know, I think this is like a fun craft to actually do with kids too, doing Mod Podge, because as I said, it's a non-toxic glue, so it's okay. There's no scissors really involved because you're just ripping papers. I mean, you can cut with scissors, but I find torn edges works a little bit better. I kind of like this rustic crackled look. It looks really cool. I'm trying to keep things as flat as I can. You can create bubbles pretty easily. If you don't, it's okay if you create wrinkles because it gives it a really neat texture, right? But if you have a big bubble, it's not that fun to get out. This part can be the most awkward part, I guess, just doing the inside of the bowl, but it's really, if it's a larger thing, then it's not so bad. You can also do this with bowls. You don't have to get eggs necessarily, especially a plastic bowl is really good to give away to kids. It's really up to you what you do, but I feel like these are nice because they're nice plastic, cheap things to grab and make a little pot of gold pot with. If you want to make a really little one, you can get the smaller eggs, I suppose, or ones that are a little larger, I suppose, with the lids coming right off. It's really up to you what you do. I wanted to fill this with a few things, so I'll show you what I'm going to fill this with later. And this is all from the dollar store, but you can get other stuff on the side too if you'd like. I'll just make some suggestions at the end of what you can put in here to make this a really cool basket for St. Patrick's Day. A lot of people don't seem to gift stuff on St. Patrick's Day, I find, all that often, but I feel like it's also a good, fun holiday to do crafty things. Look at this, I'm almost done. The one strip of paper that I've used. I love that this project doesn't have to look completely perfect in order to still look cute, right? I think that the textured look adds to it and makes it look like it's from some old ancient time, which I feel like, because leprechauns are legends, that's biblical, or the vibe that you're trying to go with here. Wow! Okay, I still have a little bit of this left, but I'm going to do some others off screen. But yeah, that's basically it. It's pretty much done, as you can see here. I'm just going to let this obviously dry for maybe a few hours. I might actually patch this little tiny bit right here really quickly, but other than that, it's pretty much done. So yeah, I'm going to do the others and then I'll show you guys when I come back, them all dried. Oh, this looks like it's coming up a bit. I'm just going to also put that down a bit more. Sometimes things can pop up a bit. Anyways, I'll fix it in a second. But yeah, we'll come back in just a second and I'll show you guys what I'm gonna put in here. Okay, so yeah, I was able to make 4 of these guys in a matter of a couple days. I mean, I could have probably even done it in less time, but I just like to give things lots of drying time. But yeah, it's pretty, as you can see, a pretty quick and easy project. And it's interesting, so buying 8 things of 20 sheets of black tissue paper was overkill. It was definitely overkill. I made a whole bunch of strips in advance, but yeah, I still have a whole bunch of this left. And this is, I think I only broke into 2 sheets, but that's all that's left. And I had some ripped up ones that I threw out because I'm not going to be using it because I'm pretty much done this project here, right? But yeah, I think it looks really cool. I like how it has this sort of craggly look to it, so it looks like it's kind of an old ancient pot that was made forever ago, so that's kind of cool. It has this iron quality to it. Another thing you could do to make it magical, I already mentioned you can Mod Podge some glitter over top of it. I was thinking if you wanted to make it look like a bit of a gold tint to it, you could probably get some rub and buff, or even just dry brush on some very lightly, dry brush on some gold, like acrylic paint or something. That would look really cool. Maybe like a nice antique gold would look really pretty and make things look a little bit more magical. It also looks really cool on its own. I think that the black is quite nice, and it also looks great, as I said, like a cauldron, but it has a really neat look to it. But yeah, it didn't take long. As I said, the reason I chose to use Mod Podge is mainly because I'm going to be putting some food in here, so I'm just going to show you with one. Sorry, I'm going to say this real quick too before I put stuff in it. I know you guys are probably like, what? Like, I want to see the end result of this, but anyways, and you can skip ahead if you want to. I always put timestamps down below in case you guys are interested in that. But if you want to, this is just a blue one just so it stands out and you can see it a little bit more, but you can get a black version of cording or something. Try to snip it so that this doesn't fray too much, and if it does fray too much, you put a little bit of Mod Podge at the ends, and that should halt the fraying, and then you can cut off whatever does look like it's still fraying a little bit. But you can just glue on. You can do this with Mod Podge, or you can do this with bare layers glue, or whatever the heck you want, but you can glue on some handles. If you really want them to be handles you can use, you could probably ahead of time maybe punch holes in here and maybe do some grommets or some eyelets or something like that on here to make it look a little bit more professional, and then string this through. So there's a few different things you could do, but I think I'm gonna leave it as is because you can totally do that as well, and it still looks nice. But I just wanted to give you guys some ideas and some options of some things that you can do. Okay, so I'm just gonna get some crinkly paper. Yeah, you can definitely use yellow for if you're putting lots of gold pieces in. I'm going to probably use this green paper. Again, this is another thing to get that around Easter time. Perfect time to be getting all this fun stuff for crafting, but this is only $1.75 in Canada, so I just grabbed that. So I'm just gonna make it look like a little St. Patrick's Day gift. Maybe you have a die cut or you have a shape punch. If you have one that looks clover shaped, you can always cut some gold pieces or even gold circles out of that. You can add that to here as well. And that'd be a fun, festive little look as well to everything, right? So I'm just gonna put a little bit in here, not a lot, for fun and festive vibes. Yeah, if you have some gold stuff, it would look really, really nice, I think. So the reason why I didn't use the yellow is because the yellow doesn't really go well with this kind of gold. If you have some nice actual gold pieces, it might look a little bit nicer, but all I could find, because I live in Canada, are these chocolate toonie things, which are kind of cute. If you want to, you can put real money in here too. Real toonies or loonies as well. Loonies are nice because they're nice and gold. I know a lot of people don't use money like they used to. So this comes in a pack of 7, but you can give as many of these gold coins as you want. If you want to, you can also give fun little treasure tokens. I've showed that on my channel before. So you can always fill it up a little bit more too, but anyways, you can just put stuff like this in here. I also I was hoping for something smaller, to be honest, but just a little taste of rainbow moment. And then if you want to, also found this funny guy at the dollar store. Put him in there, or you can add some fun stickers or something. That could be a fun little thing to put in there. But yeah, there's all sorts of fun things like that you can do to add a little whimsy to this time of year. Basically, after Valentine's Day, nobody seems to be doing too much crafting other than Easter crafting. And I think that St. Patrick's Day, Pi Day, that sort of stuff, they're overlooked days or holidays, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if they're really technically a holiday, but they're fun days. But yeah, those are fun days to craft too and give a little gift as well. If you want to, maybe somebody likes baking, you can always gift things like rainbow sprinkles. That'd be kind of really fun and cute in here. There's so many cute things you could just add to stuff like this, but I definitely think gold coins are a must. Chocolate ones are great, and also gold tokens for treasure chests are really fun too if you want to do that, if kids like to hide things. Yeah, anyways, I thought that this was a really fun, cute project. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you enjoy this sort of thing? Do you find it hard to find crafts for St. Patrick's Day? Because I really like doing crafts. I've done this is probably my 4th craft on this channel that was specifically dedicated to St. Patrick's Day. I really like St. Patrick's Day. I think it's a really, really fun time of year. Anyways, I think it's really cute. But yeah, you can always make it as elaborate or as simple as you want. And here's a little basket all done. Again, you can add more things to this. I just bought some stickers from the dollar store. I just basically put candy and stuff in there. But again, you can put so much stuff in here. I was thinking of even maybe put a little activity book that's kind of a little coloring book that has leprechauns or rainbows or whatever in it. That might be kind of fun. But anyways, I just made this fairly simply. As you can see, just a little bag. And then I put this little tag on it. So what I did was I just got a 2-inch, you can do 3-inch punch. That might give it a little bit more space and room. But I just did a 2-inch circle punch, backed it with white so that I could write on the back. You can always do a gel pen or something like that if you don't feel like backing it, but I did the same technique that I did in that punch video, but I just used my heart punch for that. So these guys are very small, so I glued them together. You can always put a stem if you want to, or keep them a little further apart, but I just wanted to make a little medallion situation, and then I just punched a hole in it with my crocodile, something small. And then for the tag, I had some of this in my stash. It was just some craft cord from the dollar store that's a stretchy gold color, and I just put this through, and then I just wrapped it around and tied it. Nothing too fancy, but as you can see, you can take a really simple idea and just pump it up a notch and make it a little bit more exciting. I went back to the dollar store to get these stickers because I thought they were a fun idea. I saw some smaller Skittles packs. I wouldn't mind just regular sizes, but just smaller Skittles packs, but they're sour gummies, so I almost grabbed them because one of them was green, so it would have been perfect for this. But also, I don't know, I like the fact that Skittles are a rainbowy dessert. But yeah, you can always do Starbursts, or there's all sorts of different rainbowy candies out there. And the nice thing about Starburst is they're also pre-wrapped. If you wanted to, you can even put some Lucky Charms cereal in a little bag and stick it in there. There's so much stuff you can do. It's crazy. Anyways, I had some really big wraps for baskets. I got them from the dollar store as well, and I just cut them in half because they're kind of big, and then I just taped it with cello tape on the sides, and then it was a little easier to take a gold pipe cleaner to wrap around the top before I did this stretchy elastic thing with a little tag. And you can always go a little fancier. You don't even have to do this specific tag. You can always go a little fancier if you want to. You can stick this on a rosette or something. Anyways, there's tons of ideas out there, I'm sure. That's just a few things you could do just to make it a little bit cuter. Fun, simple, inexpensive treat gift that you can gift a kid. But yeah, I did that right before Valentine's Day. So yeah, you can find this Easter stuff pretty much around Valentine's Day too. But yeah, I find there's a lot of cool stuff around Valentine's Day. I go to bigger dollar stores too because I find there's more stuff there. And you can always dollar store hop or something because there's always different stuff at different dollar stores depending. But I found this larger one that I go to. Valentine's Day stuff, St. Patrick's Day stuff obviously, and there's Easter stuff. There's also, it wasn't gold coins, but I saw some green colored foil coins like this as well. I guess more for St. Patrick's Day, but I thought they would have been cooler and cuter if they just did them gold, but whatever. I found these toonies and I thought that they're cute, so great for obviously Canadians. But anyways, that's pretty much that. I thought this was really cute. I think it turns out really fun. You can always obviously get a bowl to just wrap as well, but I find this is like a nice inexpensive thing. So yeah, I hope you guys like that. That's pretty much that. But yeah, if you guys like that, please be sure to like and subscribe and share the video in case somebody's looking for some really fun, cute St. Patrick's Day thing to give out to people. This is a great thing to do with kids or give out to kids, that sort of thing. I think it's a really, really fun thing to gift to people. And if you're just looking for a craft, I think that making a little pot of gold pot is really, really fun. And as I said, it's very useful. You can gift things in it. Anyways, I hope you guys all have an amazing St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, I hope everybody has a really, really fun time. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye! Happy crafting!